Several electoral monitoring missions have been in El Salvador for several days, with less than 24 hours to go before the election. Some experts point out anomalies in the process. Israeli occupation forces committed 12 massacres in the Gaza Strip during the last 24 hours, killing 107 people and injuring 165 others. And 3 people were injured this morning in a subway station in the French capital of Paris after a man attacked them with a knife. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the TeleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. Several electoral monitoring missions have been in El Salvador for several days, with less than 24 hours to go before the election. Some experts point out anomalies in the process. The Center for Exchange and Solidarity, which will be observing the process in El Salvador and also in the United States, the country with the largest number of voting centers abroad, has carried out several activities. Leslie Schuld, its executive director, warns about the strong military presence in the streets and the absence of police officers. They also expressed concern about the lack of an electoral bed because the parties have not received the public debt, which is an obligation of the state, while on the other part of the president there is a massive campaign which includes the distribution of food packages and school supplies, a practice which is forbidden by law. In Argentina, a new repression took place in the vicinity of Congress after the general approval of the Omnibus Bill. Tear gas grenades, pepper gas, and baton shots were used by the agents to disperse demonstrators. Demonstrators gathered in the vicinity of the Congress and began to chant slogans such as "The homeland is not for sale." The protest was attended by thousands of self-convened demonstrators and militants who gathered in front of Parliament on the square. There, hundreds of police force personnel were deployed to prevent obstruction of the Entre Rios Avenue, who were later joined by motorized agents and a hydrant car, as happened in the previous 2 days. On Thursday, police brutality ended with over 25 press workers injured by rubber bullets. This in the context of the approval granted by the lower house of Congress to Milei's so-called Omnibus Bill. After 3 days of session, the Argentine Chamber of Deputies approved on Friday the Omnibus Bill proposed by President Javier Milei as a key project of his administration. The bill passed with 144 votes in favor and 109 against amid ongoing protests outside Congress and multiple objections presented by the opposition. This is only the first instance in which the bill is approved as a whole. However, Congress will resume debate on Tuesday to vote on every specific article, and the ruling party hasn't still reached the necessary consensus on all its key points. The bill establishes a public emergency, a reform of the state, and the privatization of several public enterprises. The approved bill, which became known as the Omnibus Bill for its extension, has already been heavily modified from its original version, given the rejection of even sectors of the friendliest opposition. In Chile, Mapuche organizations protested before the Ministry of Justice after the illegal detention of militant Javier Plaza. The protesters gathered on the day of the hearing in which Plaza's arrest for alleged aggression against police forces was declared illegal. Representatives and family members demanded justice for the Mapuche political prisoners who have been on hunger strike for over 80 days and have now reached a critical health situation. They denounced mistreatments from federal forces and argued the imprisonment of their comrades is unfounded and of political nature.
In today's hearing, the detention of Javier Plaza, the partner of Ernesto Yaitul, a Mapuche political prisoner who is serving 82 days on hunger strike, was declared illegal. We have been informed this morning that he was taken to the regional hospital of Concepcion due to his serious health condition, in addition to the serious health condition of another hunger striker also serving 82 days, Esteban Enriquez.
In this context, Manuel Andrade Valenzuela, a member of the Ethics Commission, Mapuche's human rights must be respected.
We believe that this kind of thing has to stop. Respect for human rights has to prevail. Respect for the human rights of the Mapuche people who are mobilizing, and in this case the demands of the political prisoners of the camp who are on hunger strike.
In Panama, the second criminal chamber of the Supreme Court of Justice declared final the sentence issued against the former president of that country, Ricardo Martinelli, for money laundering. The court decided not to admit a cassation appeal filed by the former president's defense lawyer, so the sentence of 10 years and 8 months in prison remains firm. The decision was taken in the case known as New Business, in which Martinelli was found guilty of laundering public funds. Martinelli, 71-year-old, was currently a presidential candidate for the elections in Panama to be held on May 5th, backed by the Alliance to Save Panama. With the decision of the Supreme Court, Martinelli will be disqualified to compete in the next elections. The Cuban government announced on Friday changes in its cabinet, including its Vice Minister and Minister of Economy and Planning, Alejandro Gil. The changes, which were proposed by the President of the Republic with the approval of the Communist Party's Political Bureau, also included the Minister of Science, Technology and Environment and the Minister of Food Industry. The Minister of Economy and Planning, Alejandro Gil, was substituted by the current Minister-President of Cuba's Central Bank, Joaquin Alonso Vázquez. According to the statement, the dedication and performance of all the released officials were recognized and new responsibilities will be assigned to them in the next few days. The United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, reported that at least 3 million children in Haiti could be in need of humanitarian aid as violence continues to escalate. The report states that at least 170,000 minors left their homes forced by gun violence, which presented an alarming increase with respect to the year 2023. In this regard, UNICEF highlighted that in the last 2 weeks, nearly 2,500 people, mostly women and children, were displaced due to the conflicts in Solino and Cabelliste, two neighborhoods of Port-au-Prince, the capital of the Caribbean nation. Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at TeleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. Other stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back from the south. Israeli occupation forces committed 12 massacres in the Gaza Strip during the last 24 hours, killing 107 people and injuring 165 others. According to the Ministry of Health, the number of Palestinians killed since October 7, 2023 rose to some 27,238, while the number of wounded stood at more than 66,452 people. This as a result of the persistent attacks and shelling by the Israeli occupying forces. However, medical sources revealed that in addition, thousands of civilians are still missing on the rubble and scattered on the roads. So these figures could even be higher than those registered to date. This Saturday marks 120 days since the Tel Aviv regime's troops began their offensive against the Gaza Strip. The Palestinian government warned of the consequences of an Israeli offensive against the southern Gaza city of Rafah, where over 1.5 million people are sheltered. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs and expatriates denounced Israel's plans to initiate a new round of genocide in Rafah and its surroundings, putting the life of over 1.5 million Palestinians in serious and real danger. This comes after Israel's defense chief, Yoav Gallant, and other officials reported the imminent attack on Rafah following the conclusion of its offensive in the city of Han Yunis. The Palestinian Foreign Ministry condemned the international community's inability to stop the war and forced that country to allow humanitarian aid into the Gaza Strip, while the occupation forces continue to attack health centers and shelters in an effort to exterminate everything in Gaza and turn it into an uninhabitable area. Three civilians were killed and 3 others injured on Friday as Israeli occupation forces opened fire on the building of the Palestinian Red Crescent Society in Han Yunis, south of the Gaza Strip. The Palestinian institution confirmed the casualties and reported that Israeli snipers continue to fire at the building, which shelters thousands of displaced individuals. The Red Crescent emphasized that its teams are unable to transfer the wounded to the nearby Al-Amal hospital due to the constant Israeli gunfire. Earlier, the society had reported injuries among displaced individuals at Al-Amal hospital in Han Yunis as the roof collapsed on them amid the continuous Israeli bombardment and gunfire in the vicinity of the hospital. The World Health Organization warned of a high risk of hunger in the Gaza Strip due to food shortages caused by the ongoing Israeli siege. Millions of Palestinian people are at risk of facing hunger as a result of the Israeli regime's attack. Officials reiterate their call for a ceasefire by the Israeli occupation forces so that humanitarian aid and medical supplies can enter the Gaza Strip. In this context, officials urge the international community to address the situation in Palestine that has claimed the lives of thousands of citizens, most of them women and children. In the United Kingdom, citizens took to the streets to show their support for the people of Palestine. Demonstrators organized a rally in the city of London this Saturday from noon local time. As confirmed by the organizations, the mobilization will pass near the Palace of Westminster to the seat of the British Parliament. The demonstrators demand an immediate end to the Israeli siege against the Gaza Strip and the recognition of an independent Palestinian state. Local media confirmed the presence of security agents and a large number of demonstrators, so this Saturday's march is expected to be one of the largest since the intensification of the Israeli aggression against Gaza on October 7, 2023. In Syria, defense officials denounced U.S. airstrikes against Syrian army positions in the province of Deir ez-Zor, killing several soldiers and wounding others. The Syrian Defense Ministry reported that the attacked areas are the same ones where the Syrian army is fighting the remnants of the Daesh group, which is on the international terrorist list. The security agency accused Washington of resorting to their means to revive Daesh and considered that this radical group represents the armed wing of the United States in Syria and Iraq. The Defense Ministry considered that the U.S. aggression is unjustified and only seeks to weaken the capacity of the Syrian Arab Army and its allies in the fight against terrorism. We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to join our WhatsApp community for our English-speaking audience, you can scan the QR code on screen to join directly and share the link to reach more people. Constant news coverage of Latin America and the Caribbean as well as the rest of the world. Stay connected and informed with TeleSUR. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back from the south. 3 people were injured this morning in a subway station in the French capital of Paris after a man attacked them with a knife. The events that took place at Lyon station happened in the early hours of the morning. According to the Paris police, none of the wounded is life-threatening. Only one has serious injuries. According to the first report of the Parisian authorities, the attacker could be a 32-year-old citizen of Malian origin who did not claim any cause. The police managed to reduce him and found in his possession a knife, a hammer, and a residence permit issued by Italy. In Poland, the Self-Employed Farmers Union continues its protest against the increase in energy, fuel, and fertilizer prices. Farmers reject the inaction of the national authorities and condemn their government's commitment to respect all the decisions of the European Commission on the increase in energy costs, the rise in the price of inputs such as fertilizers, and the increase of imports into the bloc of foodstuff cheaper than those grown. The union denounced that such measures directly affect the community agricultural industry. In this sense, they called for a general strike for Friday, February 9th and Saturday, February 10th, in which they intend to block roads, highways, and border crossings with neighboring Ukraine. Russian President Vladimir Putin said on Friday that more than 500,000 new jobs in the country's defense sector have been created to meet soaring demand on the battlefield. The Russian leader made the statement at a political forum with defense workers in the western city of Tula. Putin stressed that in order to be successful on the battlefield today, it was necessary to react quickly and adequately to what was happening there, and sentenced that whoever does it all faster wins. In another part of his comments, the Russian president said that all the nation's defense industry companies are associated with high technology manufacturing.
The biggest contribution comes, of course, from enterprises of the military-industrial complex. This is a large part of our industry, a huge army of people who work in this area. Our defense industrial complex consists of 6,000 enterprises employing 3.5 million people, and that's a lot. Another 10,000 enterprises are in one way or another connected with the defense industry, and they operate in this field. They are subcontractors to defense industry enterprises to some extent. You can imagine how big an army this is. In the last 18 months alone, 520,000 new jobs have been created in the defense industry, more than 500,000 new jobs.
In Senegal, President Macky Sall announced the indefinite postponement of the presidential election scheduled for February 25th, just hours before official campaigning was due to start.
I have signed Decree 2024-106 of February 3, 2024, repealing Decree 2023-2283 of November 29, 2023, convening the electoral body. For my part, my solemn undertaking not to run in the presidential election remains unchanged.
In China, authorities confirmed that 9 satellites have been launched and positioned on Earth orbit. The Chinese Yailong-3 rocket was launched from an offshore platform based in the southern province of Guangdong. According to local media, this is the third takeoff of Yailong series, with the ability of carrying up to 20 satellites at a relatively low cost compared to other rockets performing the same tasks. The launching of Chinese satellites into orbit responds to a request from President Xi Jinping for the expansion of strategic industries in the space sector, considered essential for the construction of communications, navigation, and remote detection. We have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. Also join us on our social media on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.